Good afternoon. My name is Ethan Hume, and I will be presenting my individual project 2 on self-driving forklifts. So this is going to include different forms of identification that could potentially be used, um, different artificial intelligence applications that could be involved in forklifts in the future, um, and yeah, just how they're used today and drawbacks and benefits. So, a little background on why I chose this subject. So, during my time in packaging, I was able to do an internship at Campbell Soup Company, and we had um, three main plants. The one I was able to go to the most was the one in Ohio, and at this plant, they had a mix of both automated and manually operated forklifts. I was a little curious about how this worked, and I think this class really gave me a little bit of background on that to really understand that. So, yeah, and at our facility, they used a variety of different barcodes or 2D matrices to identify what they were picking up in the warehouse. And then sensors were also used to navigate uh, Sensors were also used by the forklifts to know where they were and navigate. I'm not gonna lie, going into the warehouse with automated forklifts for the first time freaked me out before I knew they had sensors to stop. Um, I always thought I was gonna get hit, but now I know probably not. So yeah. So why do we need to automate forklifts in the first place? What are the drawbacks of manually operated forklifts? Well, for starters, there's a lot of accidents due to manually operated forklifts. From the sources I was looking at, I think it said 90% of forklifts will get in some kind of accident in the forklift's lifetime. I'm not sure what the standards for being an accident are, um, but yeah, and it's just human error leads to a lot of that. And human error will also lead to a lot of inefficiencies in jobs. So if the forklift is able to do a simple task over and over again with great efficiency, it's likely going to be a better fit for you. And then automation also has inefficiencies. I should put that out there. Um, yeah, acting like automation does not uh, is perfect is a great over exaggeration. Also, cost of employment. Automated forklifts are probably found in areas where the cost of hiring workers is far higher than the national average. And then employees also need breaks and have benefits with their pay, and also long term they are paid more. So this is why we were trying to automate forklifts is to reduce costs and reduce any inefficiencies in the warehouse. So when I was researching this topic, I came across a certain model of automated forklift from Toyota. So this one uses a lot of sensors and it's pretty advanced, but a master system is needed for this model throughout the warehouse. And this really consists of reflectors and sensors on the vehicle. So the vehicle will be able to detect where the sensors are, which sensor it's detecting, and where it is in the warehouse. Therefore, and yeah, I mean, this comes from a laser on top of the vehicle. Um, and then safety sensors on forklifts will detect any objects in the way. So this is really important throughout a warehouse because people just kind of walk sometimes. Uh, there are places where you're supposed to walk in the warehouse for most operations, but um, a lot of people don't stand by this, and you don't want that simple mistake leading to somebody getting smacked by a forklift. That would not be good. Um, and then also, misplaced objects in a warehouse are not that common, but you don't want damage that happened to a large piece of equipment that costs a lot of money if it just can't detect it's in the way. That would be bad. And also, an additional sensor will be these sensors are more toward the floor that I was just talking about. There'll be an additional sensor more at head level to detect any hanging objects that the forklift might get. Without this, it would only detect floor items and could just smack that top laser that tells it where it is, and it would not work correctly after that. And then this model also had forks to detect where to pick up the pallet. So, it's picking up a pallet and it just gets its forks in there, lifts it up, and is able to carry it around the warehouse after that. So, yep. So I was able to find an example of an automated guided vehicle in the Amazon robots that I thought was pretty cool and interesting. So I decided to share it. So Amazon has been investing heavily into robotic technology that implements AI. Specifically, they bought the Kiva Systems company back in 2012, and now they use a lot of that, a lot of their robots. It's now called Amazon Robotics. The difference between these robots and forklifts is that robotics pick up and move shelves, which are lighter weight than anything that a forklift would be picking up. However, I decided to go with it because of its use of sensors, and ultimately the job is to move products around the warehouse. AI is heavily involved here. So the goal of Amazon Robotics was for the robot to understand what's another robot. As you can see, there's a ton of different robots here, and from all the videos that I was seeing, the robots interact with each other on a very consistent basis. So it needs to understand what's a robot, what's not, what's a stationary object, what's a pillar, and where to go. So AI helps with all of this. And then, this is a very large scale operation. I know in 2012 or 2019, Amazon had over 200,000 robots across their portfolio, and that's only increasing. And So a big part of this class and a big part of warehousing in general is to use auto ID and different forms of ID to identify products. So the main form of, and I was actually curious about how this worked in general. So I found out that the main form of how uh, forklifts navigate a warehouse is through just location. So each dock will have a number, and then the forklift will be able to identify where that is and go pick up the pallet most of the time. Um, so it just matches that docking number to the order it needs to pick up and delivers it to a set location. But alternative ID such as 2D matrix or RFID can be used in more advanced warehouses. So this tells it what it's picking up, what it's doing. The other one I've seen throughout my experience is a barcode, but not like a barcode for consumers. It can't be scanned in a grocery store. It's much larger, but it's used for identification throughout the warehouse. So this returns to the Amazon example, where we're looking at Kiva robots that can move shelves. So uh, different forms of identification are used in Amazon. The one that's most prominent that I found from their robotics website was AR identification, and this is used throughout the warehouse. Um, I was able to delineate that this was mostly made up of different barcodes with some 2D matrices as seen to the right here. I'm not really sure if the 2D matrix is for identification entirely in this case, but all robotics are equipped with cameras for identification, and most cameras work at 120 frames per second, so you can swipe items by them very quickly. And then robots will use these to move around the warehouse and deliver items to the correct location. Um, yeah. So naturally, companies will choose whether or not to go automated for a variety of different reasons. There's some simple ones listed below. So automated forklifts are very good at simple, repetitive tasks. And this is true with most machinery in a warehouse. Um, there is less flexibility for complex decisions and problem solving by an automated machine, a human is needed to fix any problems with this machine as well, and that'll likely be a more qualified individual, and therefore you need to pay them more. So yeah, but return on investment with forklifts, automated forklifts, is an average of 13 months. So that's pretty good, in my opinion. And then, yeah, it's really good for 24-hour, three-shift operations. It's even good for two-shift operations as well. But less return on investment will be seen in one-shift operations. And then, yeah, it's good for market with high labor costs. So obviously, if your employees uh, or if your labor force needs a lot of pay, and your forklift will stay the same price. So if the pay of employees keeps increasing, it might make more sense to go with the forklift ultimately, the automated forklift that is. And then yeah, the ones I was reading for do have a strict weight limit. So um, operations over 8,000 pounds should use just a normal manual forklift. These forklifts may also be bigger. I know the automated ones tend to be a little smaller. And then, yeah, it's poor for sites with constantly changing environments. So this could mean an outdoor operation where the temperature gets really high or really cold. Um, yeah, or just precipitation in general. Yeah, a human might be a little more able to adapt to that. Here are my sources that I used for this presentation. Most of them, most of the beginning ones are for automated forklifts, while the last couple are for the Amazon robotics. Thank you. Have a good one.